Welcome to the Balanced Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sherman, fitness coach for burnt out perfectionist. If you're ready to break free from overwhelm, simplify your nutrition, and make fitness finally work for you instead of against you, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into easy strategies to balance your health with your busy life. Let's hustle for balance, not burnout. Grab a seat and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, or welcome to the podcast if you are new here. I have another guest with me today, and last week I did a solo episode, and then the 2 weeks before that I had guest also. So my job is becoming a lot easier because I'm just letting the guests talk to you. But I have another guest today. I talked about her a little bit on my last podcast, and her name is Tracy. I have known Tracy my entire life. She's basically a second mom to me, and she is a health coach. So I thought that her experience and her insight as a health coach and talking about some of the things that she does would be really valuable for you guys. So, would you like to say hi, Tracy?
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
Yeah, this is her podcast debut. This is your first podcast, right?
It is.
Yeah, are you nervous?
A little bit.
A little. I've assured her that it's all good. It will all be fine. We will get through it and we will have a good time. So, do you want to just kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself? And you haven't always been a health coach. So just kind of tell us how you got into this and maybe what you used to do before, just a little overview.
Yeah, so for a little over 15 years, I was a school counselor. And we were approaching 2020 and the COVID shutdown. And I was, even before that, starting to get a little burnt out in school counseling. And just trying to think of what other similar opportunities might be out there for me to do similar work, but something that was just a little bit different. I liked what I was supposed to be doing working in a school, but I felt like I was getting away from what I was trained to do and what I wanted to be doing to help students in school. So I was on a car ride on the way up to the Adirondacks with my friends for our annual girls' weekend away, and just talking with one of my friends and saying, you know, I'm feeling burnt out. I want to do something similar but different. And she suggested to me that I should be a health coach. So her nickname for me is Fitbit. So she seemed like she had it all figured out for me. And I thought, oh, health coach.
She just had your next move figured out. She had it planned out for you.
Yeah. And it turned out to be the best decision I ever made. So I just kind of put that in the back of my head while we were up north. And when I got home, I started just kind of doing some research about, hey, what is a health coach? What do they do? And the more I read, I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. This is absolutely what I should be doing. And then I also realized that I had worked with a health coach during her training as one of her practice clients. It was probably 8 or 10 years prior. So I got in touch with her and talked with her about how she was doing and in her business, and got really excited. So that was in August, our trip to the Adirondacks. By October, beginning of October, I was signed up for my health and life coaching certification course. And because it was COVID and the world was shut down, I had some more time to focus on my certification and training because I wasn't going to my boys' swim meets and all their activities weren't taking up my weekends. So I was certified in June of 2021 and started my business that following August.
Yeah, and I remember this. Like, I remember when you were making that transition, and, we've kind of got like a group of moms. I say you're one of my moms. We've got a few other friends, and I remember you telling us that, like, this was what you were going to be doing. And I remember every single one of us were like, well, yeah, that's what you should be doing. Like, it just fits so well. So we were so excited to see you doing it. And it's also funny because it kind of reminds me of my story when I got into becoming a personal trainer. Was I was like at the end of my rope with my career, and it was also during COVID. This was later, I think about a year later than when you started. And again, I just like decided one day like I wanted to do it, and I went
Yeah.
online and I did it. So if you want to do something, here's your sign. But yeah, so like what was that, I guess what was that like as you transitioned from your full-time job into like, okay, now you're a business owner and you're like on your own.
Yeah, and it was super super scary. I never thought of myself as someone who was going to own their own business or work for themselves or um, anything. I had even verbally out loud said many times like, "There's no way I'm going to own my own business." Um, and then here I was.
Yeah.
It was just I needed a change, and once I found once I figured out what my purpose in life was, I just felt like I had to go after it. That's where how I was going to be happy. That's how I was going to be able to help people to make an impact with people, and yeah, it was just I had to follow my passion.
Yeah, and I think it also kind of opened you up because you do have two kids and a family. Did you feel like it opened you up to having more freedom with them and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So working in a school, it's nice because you get breaks and vacations off. School counselors do still have to work some over the summer, and just based on the duties of a school counselor, there were many times over even the breaks that we were responding to crises or things that were going on um, that often pulled me away from being able to do things with my family that I valued. So taking this step helped me to be able to keep my family a priority and feel good about keeping my family a priority
Right. Yeah. I mean,
without feeling pulled to take care
yeah.
of my career. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure like a lot of your school counseling experience, I mean, now you work with adults. You're not necessarily working, you were working with middle schoolers
Yeah. Yeah.
before, but I'm sure some things like, were there things that you wanted to kind of like help, like you saw a hole where you wanted to help middle schoolers with as they transitioned into becoming adults, but how has that kind of like transitioned into your coaching?
Yeah. So as a school counselor, our main focus is career, academics, and um,
It's been so long, you already forgot.
oh my goodness.
It is a lot of career and academics. I remember that.
Oh, and social emotional. Hello,
Oh,
social
yeah.
emotional. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
how did I forget that one?
Yeah.
So those were our three main focuses, and the academics, the career stuff. I felt like I could do a lot with students around that. The social emotional is where it was really hard for me to feel like I was having an impact because there's so much more to social emotional wellness beyond just talk therapy, which was essentially what I was doing in the school. So how the food that we eat affects our mood, and how the sleep, both the quantity and the quality of the sleep that we get affects our ability to function during the day, to sit in a 40-minute class and understand what the teacher is lecturing about. And I was able to help somewhat with stress management and stress relief, but I was limited as to what I
Yeah.
could do really with students. And so just recognizing the impacts that that all these things have on our overall well-being, I needed to make a change to feel like I was able to have more of an impact
Yeah.
on people.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, I know like my experience when I was in school was you saw your counselor and they helped you do your schedule and they asked you where you wanted to go to college and what you wanted to do. And I'm sure there are kids that go to the counselor for more help, but it's mainly academics was my impression as a student. And then I think the other side of it, there wasn't like a lot of preventative, like how can we make sure that you don't get stressed out and burn out in school.
Yeah.
Maybe you do
Yeah.
get burnout and then you go to your counselor, and there's a few kids that maybe use that.
Yeah.
to their advantage.
And what I was finding too is that a lot of what I was doing was very reactive. It wasn't the preventative stuff. So it was hard to work with a student who was in that stressed out, burned out spot to get them back. And it would have been, I think I would have felt better had I had the opportunity to do more of that proactive stuff, which is where, when I first started as a school counselor, I felt like I was able to do more of that proactive work. But just as the position evolved and as education evolved, it felt more reactive to me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So when you're working with clients now, we've kind of hinted at some of these things that we want to start looking at. You have like this 4 pillars of health that you focus on. Can you kind of expand on what those are and what that could mean to anybody listening right now?
Yeah, so the 4 pillars of optimal health that I focus on with my clients are sleep, nutrition, relaxation, and movement. And so sleep, it really is kind of an underrated reset button for a lot of us. I think just based on our society currently, it's everything. You have to be super productive and you have to be working all the time, and we don't value sleep as much as we should a lot of times. So just working with clients on how to set up good sleep hygiene, setting up good nighttime routine. I had one client who redesigned her entire bedroom once we talked about sleep.
Oh, wow.
And it was...
You're an interior designer now, too.
I didn't design it. I just gave her some tips.
Yeah.
And she took it and made a wonderful, sleep sanctuary.
Wow.
And she talked about how much just changing the environment that she was sleeping in, how much that helped her sleep.
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
She was the quantity wasn't as much the issue, it was more the quality. And so once we changed her sleep environment, the quality of her sleep improved and everything else kind of fell in place for her. Nutrition, I really focus on whole foods, getting back to the basics, what we used to eat before the epidemics of diabetes and heart disease and obesity became epidemics. I think back, 70 so years ago, before McDonald's and TV dinners were new on the horizon.
We've talked about McDonald's a lot on this podcast.
So that was the start of the fast food, right?
Yeah.
Revolution. And the amount that we've learned about nutrition and feeding our bodies in the last 70 years. And so we've learned a ton, right, over the last 70 years about what we should be eating and how we should be eating. And yet our society continues to get more and more unhealthy.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that we've made all this progress as far as what we know, but based on what our society is doing currently, we are continuing to be more and more unhealthy.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it like that. It's like the two opposites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the diet industry and all the supplements and the, protein bars and the protein shakes and the eat this and this is healthy and this is there's so much out there that is super processed, highly processed foods. I put food in quotes because if you read the labels of a lot of these things, you can't even understand what the ingredients are. And I'm not really sure you can really consider them food. Yeah. But that's what we've gone to, because again, our society, where it's a rush. What's quick? What can I grab quick? I'm going to grab this because it's quick and easy. Give me a sugar boost and get me through the next hour, and then I'll probably crash and I'll grab another candy bar, or I'll grab another something that's even advertised as a healthy food that isn't really healthy. So nutrition wise, I'm all about eating just real whole foods. Eat fruits, vegetables, lean meats, healthy fats, fat, fiber, protein. If any clients of mine hear me say that a lot, that's what we focus on. Just getting a mix of fat, fiber, and protein at each meal and each snack.
Food that you know what it is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
where it came from.
Because I think all the information again, we have more information, so it should make us better at making decisions. But I think it can almost maybe have that opposite effect because it's so hard to sift through it all.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I go on Instagram and it's like, there's always someone on there that's like, if you should never eat apples, or you should never eat bananas, or this is the worst possible food you could eat. Never
Yeah.
eat eggs again.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, what am I missing about eggs? you know?
Yeah, yeah. And you have to look at who is it that's saying that, and
Yeah.
what's their intention. Is it
Yeah.
for you to buy their hyper processed thing that they call food?
Right.
It's just like the wine industry, because they're trying to promote their products. They say, yes, right, wine is good for you. It has all these antioxidants, or what's the other, I don't know, anyway, some other substance that they're like, this is great for you, but you actually get more and better antioxidants without the effects of the alcohol that come along with the wine if you just eat the real food. Like, eating straight grapes is way better than
I always get people, I always have
wine.
people that ask me, because I am a nutritionist and a personal trainer, a lot of people like to ask me about fruit, and they're like, well, there's sugar in fruit, so should I be really careful about fruit? And I'm like, well, maybe we could start with your cereal you eat every morning instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we don't need to get too nervous. I think whole foods is just a really good way to go.
Yeah.
And I also get a lot of people that, we use the word healthy a lot, or we use like good for you and bad for you.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about like fat, fiber, protein, I like to like talk to my clients in a way where it's like, maybe we don't call this food good for you or bad for you.
Right.
If we're looking for protein, let's compare the levels of protein in these two foods. Not say one is good or one is bad.
Right.
We're looking for certain things.
Yeah.
Would you agree that's kind of how you...
Yeah. Taking the stigma away from, fruits are high in sugar. Well, they are higher in sugar than some foods, but they're still not nearly as high in sugar as the candy bar that you ate.
Right.
And the thing about fruits and sugar, the natural sugars that come with fruits and vegetables, or any whole foods that you eat, the good thing about that sugar is it's not highly processed white cane sugar. Mm-hmm. It's natural sugar that is also coming with nutrients and fiber, which helps your body to be able to process the sugar that comes with the fruit. So when you're eating fruits, you're getting some sugar, but it's natural sugar. It's not highly processed. So your body recognizes it and knows what to do with it. Mm-hmm. And you're getting the vitamins and the minerals that help your body to be able to absorb and more slowly absorb that sugar into your bloodstream, so that you don't have the high peaks and the low valleys that we get with sugar spikes. So that's something too that I help my clients understand, is the difference between highly processed, refined sugar and the natural sugars that are in foods. So I could go on and on about that.
Yeah,
that'd be a whole nother podcast.
I mean, that's just really like, I think it's so sad that it is almost like a full-time job to try to figure out what you're going to eat every day. And like, not even to think about working out or any of the other stuff that comes with a healthy lifestyle, but just like what you're literally going to eat like 3 times a day for a meal.
Yeah,
and then we're not even talking about snacks. Like, what are we literally going to eat 3 times a day for the rest of our life?
Yeah.
That's like a full-time job.
It takes some planning.
Yeah. And we're just kind of throwing it together after work most days. And, again, sometimes hit McDonald's, and that's okay. That happens sometimes,
We don't have to be perfect.
No.
By any means.
But it can get so overly complicated. And I like to simplify things as much as possible.
Absolutely. And that's a big part of what I intend to do with the clients that I work with, is just simplify things so that they can help to eliminate that overwhelm that comes from all the information that's out there on Instagram or on the web, and all those resources that are out there that are giving conflicting information and getting us more confused than anything. Yeah. So that's a big part of what I do, especially with the nutrition piece, is to just simplify things, because that helps clients better understand what their specific bodies need, because we're all different, we're all unique, and what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for your neighbor. So
Right.
I help you tune into yourself so that you can understand more about what your unique body needs.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So we've talked about sleep and nutrition.
Yep.
And then you've got two other pillars.
Yeah, so relaxation. This is just daily rest. And when I say, rest, it's somewhat different than sleep. So just taking 5 minutes to step away from your desk, to step away from the hustle and bustle of running your kids from here to there. It's spiritual grounding. So just connecting with your soul is big. So I work with my clients just on simple things that don't take all that much time. They're free. Things like breathing, right? So we all breathe every day, multiple times a day to stay alive. But doing 2 minutes of conscious breathing is all it takes to switch your nervous system from that sympathetic fight, flight, and freeze response to the rest and digest parasympathetic state. That's the state where we can digest our food. That's the state where we can get more in alignment with what our body needs, and take the time to just notice how we're feeling. And, again, it's gaining an awareness. So noticing how we're feeling and what we need to do to get ourselves to a better place, whether it's emotionally or physically or mentally, however.
Yeah, I think we often think of like sleep is our rest. Like we can just be go, 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 go all day, and then we'll rest when we're sleeping.
Right.
But I think that's a good point that like we need those breaks throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you don't even think about digestion being something that goes along with that. So,
yeah. And being in a relaxed state is key to digestion. So, and that too could be a whole nother podcast for another day.
So many things we could talk about.
But yeah, we really have to, we need to find those few minutes in every day, especially right before we sit down to eat, to get into a good state so that our body can take in the nutrients that we're trying to absorb. If we're not in that relaxed state, our body can't use the food that we're eating.
Yeah.
In an efficient way. So.
Yeah, I've started to try to get better myself about relaxing, and it's kind of hard. Like, it's sad to say that you almost have to force yourself to relax.
You do. You have to schedule some time into your day. Set an alarm in your phone or something. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm like one of those people that could just go, go, go all day, and like I enjoy being busy, so it's hard for me to relax. I recently found this app, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's called Medito. Medito, and it has little meditations on it. It's a free app, and I will say I was drawn to it because it's very pretty. It has very pretty like graphics and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And it has like little like 2-minute meditations. It has like your daily meditation, and you can pick like how long you want it to be, 3, 5, 10, 15, or 20 minutes. And you can just kind of sit and listen to it for whatever time you have. So I'm trying to incorporate that a little bit more in.
Good. Yeah. Even if it's just, working it into your daily routine of you do that first thing in the morning or last thing before you go to bed, or maybe that mid-afternoon slump that you feel, incorporating it into that time.
Even like 2 minutes, like just to take a breather.
Yeah.
Like I've had clients who work, similar to what you do. They work for themselves, and they could just be at home all day and never get up from their desk.
Yeah.
Like they have to remind themselves to get up, go to the bathroom, get a snack. So we've literally worked on, I've put on their calendar, like, take a break today, and they have to check that off their calendar for me.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not like a break where you're going to go change the laundry. Like, just a break.
A break.
Yeah.
Where you do nothing. Maybe you just go and look out the window and notice the birds.
Step out
singing,
on the porch.
Or, get some fresh air. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use anything? Do you use any apps or anything?
Yeah,
I'm just getting into this.
Yeah. I use the Calm app.
Okay.
CALM, Calm. I've been using that for many, many years. For the longest time, I just did the free version, and now I've because I use it enough. I don't pay for many apps at all, but this one's one that I
It
do
was
pay
worth
for.
it.
It's
Oh,
absolutely worth
that
it.
says something.
So there's a daily move that I do most every morning, as long as I have time, and it's just 5 minutes, and it always seems to tell me exactly what I need that particular day. So,
Oh.
and it's just simple. It could be simple stretching. It could be some qigong. It could be some yoga.
What is Qigong?
Qigong is kind of along the lines of Tai Chi.
Okay.
So it's the slow, mindful movement, energy work type stuff.
See, that's why I bring Tracy on the podcast,
Yeah.
because she's got all kinds of fun things to offer that I've never even heard of.
Yeah, there's a whole world of awesome things out there, and that kind of leads us into the fourth pillar, the pillar of movement. So, I use the word movement intentionally rather than exercise or any of those words that
Working
kind of have that,
out.
working
Yeah.
out, because they tend to have the connotation of that's difficult, it's hard, I have to get all sweaty, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to train for a marathon to be healthy. You can literally take a mile walk a day if
Yeah.
that's what your body needs and if that's what you benefit from. So you don't have to join a gym and work out 7 days a week doing weights. You can find activities that keep you moving, keep the blood flowing, but things that you enjoy, right? So I talk to my clients. I have a whole long list of things. If my clients are struggling with, I don't know what kind of movement makes me happy, I pull out a whole list and they read through that. And some of it is like going back to when we were children and just
Yeah.
playing outside or roller skating or doing cartwheels. Not that all of us
Every
can
adult.
still do cartwheels in our adult life, but
I love that, because
just
like as kids you just move because you want to.
yeah, and it's just what you do, right?
And
so
your parents tell you to go outside and stay busy for an hour.
yeah, and you do, right? Because
Yeah.
it's fun, because you're playing with your friends, or you're doing make believe, or you're playing with your pets or whatever. So it's really just finding the movement that works for each individual.
Yeah, I love that. And not to get too scientific on metabolism or anything, but it links with something that I heard about metabolism. Is I heard this from another coach who was saying that as we get older, we always think that our metabolism is just slowing down, and it really doesn't slow down that much until, I think she said, like the age of 60. Don't quote me. And then it only really starts to slow down a little bit because you're losing some bone density as you get older, especially if you're not lifting weights. And that really clicked in my head because I'm linking it to movement, because a lot of us think our metabolism is slowing down even as we get into our 30s and 40s.
Right.
But if you think about it, we're just sitting at a desk a lot of the time.
Right. Our movement has slowed down.
Yeah, as kids, we were moving all the time. So of course our metabolism was working better. So I like that because it's something that we can control, and it's not something that it's just like, oh, I'm getting older.
Right.
I can't control this. Like, and then we can start talking about fun movement like you're talking about. Have there been any types of movement that some of your clients have experimented with or found, or like kind of rediscovered that they've enjoyed? Has there been anything, not to like test you off the top of your head?
I had one client that decided they were going to ride a bike again, right?
Yeah.
They hadn't ridden a bike in years. And so they borrowed their neighbor's bike for a bit to test it out and see if they wanted to do that. And then they ended up buying a bike. And she and her husband go for bike rides now together. So it's become not only movement for her, but also a piece of connection with her husband. Some a way that they can spend some quality time together. So that's the easiest example I can think of.
Yeah,
off the top of my
that's
head.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she probably, I'm going to make an assumption, she probably came to you maybe thinking she needed to start working out or maybe she came to you with another perception, but now she's riding your bike and having a good time and getting the same kind of benefits that she was probably looking for.
And even additional benefits because she's connecting with her husband and
more so.
I always, there's so much more to wellness and weight loss than just calories in, calories out, right? There's so many other pieces that affect whether we're maintaining or losing or gaining weight. So it really is, again, our how stressed we are affects how easily we can lose weight. A lot of times we stress ourselves out with some big goal, like I have to lose 10 pounds before my reunion. But that's counterproductive to stress ourselves out.
Yeah. And another thing is that, like, I've talked with this about with some of my clients before, is if we set a goal, like I have to lose 10 pounds, 90% of the time, we're failing at that goal.
Yeah.
Until we hit that goal at the end, like 90% of the time that you're working towards it, you're like kind of in this like, well, I haven't reached it yet. I haven't reached it yet.
Yeah.
So we need to find things along the way of the process that make it enjoyable, because we're not actually achieving that goal until that last like little percent.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once you achieve it, you want to maintain it.
Right.
So you don't want to go backwards.
Yeah. So we might as well build systems and things that we love to do that help us maintain it.
Yeah.
Yep. You know? And so speaking of movement, the next thing this actually goes into really well. The next thing we were going to talk about is some of the things that you offer and that you do that are kind of different. And right off the bat, when we're talking about movement, I think about how you do Hikyoga, because I've done that with you. I think just once I did it with you, but I'm going to be doing it with you more. And a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but that's a really fun type of movement. So can you just tell us about Hikyoga?
Yeah, so Hikyoga is what it sounds like. So it's taking a hike and doing yoga. So on a Hikyoga event, it's about an hour and a half, give or take half an hour. Some might be shorter, some might be longer. And we just start out with a warm-up yoga flow, and then we hike for a bit, and then we take a break and we do another Hikyoga or another yoga flow. And then we hike a bit more and we'll do a meditation, and we hike a bit more, and then we do like a cool down yoga flow. So it is, it's different than yoga in like a studio. It's a lot more because you're able to connect with nature, and really combining nature with movement, you get like your benefits are exponentially greater when you're moving or doing anything in nature, because you are engaging all your senses. So it's just a really fun way to move. There's not, some of the yoga classes I've attended in studios, there's a lot of pressure to do things just right or to be super flexible. That is not part of my Hikyogas at all. I don't walk around and correct people's poses. We're outside and we're on uneven ground sometimes. And so
I think there was snow when I did it.
Yes, it was very cold that day.
But it was really fun.
Yeah. And so again, that it's great for people who don't want to feel like they have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's great for new yogis. It's great for experienced yogis, because every experience is different. The weather is different, the temperature is different, the birds are different, the surroundings are different, and so it's just a great way to experience nature, get some movement in, connect with yourself, connect with others that are on the hike. And so that's something I'm really excited to get going with again this spring as the weather hopefully gets better.
And this, I forget, is this like is it, we're in New York. Is this like a New York thing, or is this further?
So it started out right here in Rochester, and it's expanded now to Cleveland and somewhere on the East Coast. I don't remember exactly where. And then recently there's another new location, I believe in Iowa.
Oh, okay.
So it is starting to spread, which is pretty exciting because it's just, again, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think I saw on my Facebook, isn't there like a festival or something?
Yeah, so the New York State Yoga Festival happens at Letchworth Park, and there's opportunities to do Hikyogas as part of that yoga festival as well. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, you could try it.
Yeah,
There's different
absolutely.
opportunities to try it, whether you tried it with Tracy or, it's starting to spread a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a few Hikyoga instructors in our area, in the Rochester area. I'm one of the few that's out this way, in the Phelps area, but we are slowly expanding. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really I had a good time. I'm excited to do it again. Let's see, what are some other things you were telling me, kind of back to nutrition? One thing you were telling me about that you do or that you've done is this kitchen clean out
yeah.
thing.
So it's like a
Yeah.
VIP opportunity. So we take 3 hours, like a 3 hour block, and we just kind of go through your refrigerator, your pantry, your freezer, take a look at some of those labels on
Mm-hmm.
those in foods that are in your house. Take a look at, gee, is this a list of ingredients that's short or is it long? Are these things I can pronounce? Are these things that I can't pronounce? Are these things that I want to be putting into my body and my kids' bodies and my husband's bodies? Or are these things that maybe I want to throw away immediately? I've had people do that. They're like, I'm throwing this away now. Other
Yeah.
people are like, well, I don't want to waste food. I don't want to waste money. So they'll finish what they have. But then we find a replacement that's a
Mm-hmm.
healthier or better option. Or sometimes people are like, yeah, I can do without this in my life. I'm gonna finish off and never buy it again. So it's really just kind of learning to read the labels, learning to not be manipulated by this is plant based. Well, there's a lot of unhealthy plant based stuff out there, right? There's this
Yeah.
gluten free. Well, do you need to be gluten free, or do you just think that gluten free is a healthy thing? It's really about decoding what all those labels really mean, and
Oh, they're so confusing.
super confusing. And there's so much overwhelm out there. And again, that's a big part of my intention, is to simplify things for people so that healthy doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just getting back to the basics.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love that you like take it just right to someone's own fridge,
Yeah.
because you can watch things online all day long, but it's like when you go to your own house, it doesn't always apply to like what you actually eat and what you have. And I've even like looked up recipes where I'm like, I don't know what half those ingredients
Yeah.
are. What can I make
Yeah.
with what I have in my fridge?
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
like that you like make it that personal, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
And it's an accountability piece too. So we can, I'm guilty of it all the time. Well, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. But when you have somebody like showing up at an appointment to do
Mm-hmm.
this and go through it with you, like, you'll actually get it done, right?
Yeah.
And there is no judgment in any of this. So I will not judge. I've been there, done that, right? And I can't, my fridge and freezer and pantry are not perfect.
Right.
But
There
again,
is
it's
no
about,
perfect.
exactly, it's not
Yeah.
about perfection. It's about making progress and eating well the majority of the time so that you can feel well the
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all
So,
about feeling better in
yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
too.
yeah.
You have a Whole Foods reset that you also do that kind of goes along with that.
Yep. So with each season, so spring, summer, fall, and winter, I do a Whole Foods reset. It's an opportunity just to discover how good you can feel. A lot of us, because we're all oftentimes just kind of
Going kind of with the motions and
yeah,
yeah.
And we get filled up with stuff that just our body needs to kind of have a chance to get rid of, right? And so 14 days, the first couple days are just preparing for 7 days of clean eating. And so the 14 days is the first couple days preparing, 7 days of clean eating, and the last 5 days are slowly reintroducing things back in so that you can and just take a note of how you feel once you introduce those things back in. So we primarily start with eliminating refined sugar, gluten, and dairy for those 7 days. If that's too much for you, then we just focus on eliminating one of those three. And we get to a starting point that is reasonable for you and where you feel like you can find some success. And it's just an opportunity to eliminate that for a period of time, add it back in, and see, is this something that affects me or is it not, right?
Yeah.
So
And you might have people that come to you with maybe an idea that maybe dairy might be affecting them, but they kind of need some more help getting from point A to point B.
Yeah. Suggestions on how to go dairy free, right? And how to find replacements or swaps that will work. And so, I help people figure out what those swaps might be. And that's kind of the basis of my functional nutrition approach too. Really, our bodies are the most powerful and least expensive and best dietary experimentation lab in existence, right?
Yeah.
So if you think you might be allergic to dairy or sensitive to dairy, you can go and pay for some expensive test to know if you're lactose intolerant, or you can just eliminate it for 7 days, add it back in for a day or two, see how you feel, and if you feel better without it, then avoid it. Yeah. If you feel good once you've introduced it back in, then it's probably not dairy. And that's where we move to the next piece. Okay, so if dairy is okay, let's try gluten. Let's eliminate that for 7 days. Add that back in slowly. If you're feeling like gluten, makes you bloated and feel like your joints ache and everything, then maybe we need to eliminate gluten.
Now, I'm guessing some of this has also probably come from some personal experience. Have you had personal experience where you've kind of gone through this process yourself?
Yeah,
and then
I
found
did.
Things?
Yeah, so I grew up on a dairy farm. Drank milk every day of my life growing up. College, I would, I switched. So growing up on dairy, we drank unpasteurized, unhomogenized, straight raw milk. Went to college, and the only thing was the pasteurized, homogenized stuff. It tasted terrible to me. But I felt like I had to drink milk all the time. I was an athlete in college as well, so I needed it to stay healthy and stay strong. And so I drank skim milk, and my husband was like, I don't know how you can drink that. It's like, tastes like water. I was like, that's why I can drink it, because it is the least flavorful of the pasteurized stuff. So I got to a period of time, it was when I was working with the health coach as her practice client. And she was like, well, just eliminate dairy and see how you feel. And it was after I had my first son and before I had my second. And I would always feel just bloated and gross after dinner, and I would always have milk for dinner. When I stopped having the 2 glasses of milk for dinner, I realized that I didn't feel bloated and gross every night after dinner and before I went to bed. And it was amazing to not feel that way.
Like a whole new person.
So it really was. So I was like, okay, so dairy's not a great thing for me, right? So I tend to avoid dairy, and I thought I would really miss cheese, and I use milk alternatives now instead of dairy milk, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made, is to stay away from dairy. Ice cream is still, in the summer especially, is hard for me to avoid because it's good, but I do know that like I can make at least a good decision now. Like, do I really want to have ice cream? I know how I'm going to feel later. Am I okay with feeling that way later, or do I want to make another choice? So It's just having that awareness and that knowledge of how my body operates with different foods that helps me make better decisions.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to like that good food, bad food thing. Like, you're not necessarily saying that dairy is a bad food or, bad for someone else. It might process dairy perfectly fine.
Exactly.
But you're experimenting with your body to determine, this level of dairy or even no dairy is more optimal for how I want to feel and how I function.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I think sometimes like this could really go with anything, like even working out. I think we all, or a lot of us, get so stuck in the beginning because there are so many options, and it's like, well, I want to do the best diet, or I want to do the best workout plan that's going to like give me the best results, and there's so many things that I have to think about, and we're just like kind of afraid to experiment and start because of that. And even like the smallest things, like you were talking about how you feel after dinner. I found that like even just walking after dinner like I feel night and day difference before I go to bed. Like, and that just came from in the summer, it was nice out and we just started going for walks after dinner. And now I've got a walking pad in my house so that in the winter I can walk a little after dinner.
Yeah.
And it was just like trying something different that taught me that, you know?
And being okay with, I might try this and it might not work, right? And so I'm going to try something else if that doesn't work. Or it might work for a period of time and then it might not work as well. So trying something else, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, especially as we age and grow and change, and it's okay to change some of those habits up.
Yeah.
As your life changes, and it's good to, because
we're going to naturally need to change our habits.
Absolutely,
as our life changes.
Yep.
That's the other thing. Like, I always used to get so stuck on, like, what's my perfect routine? Like, what's my perfect workout routine and my perfect diet? I'm like, my perfect morning routine. And then, like, even with the seasons changing, I've learned that different things feel better to me in the morning during the winter than in the summer. And that's okay to even just change little things as the seasons even change.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Like, I hate working out in the morning in the winter. But in the summer, it's easier because my house is warmer and it's not as cold and I'm not as stiff when I get up. And that might work good for somebody and just isn't working for me right now.
Yep.
So if I switch to night workouts, but I'm still getting my workouts in and that's what works, then
you're good.
That's what I'm doing, you know? So, yeah, I think we just have to just experiment, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it also ties back to, like, that adults versus kids things. Like, when we were kids, we just didn't overthink it. Like, I was in the backyard, and I remember, like, I used to do, like gymnastics in the backyard. And I just wouldn't overthink it. Like, I was like, I want to learn how to do, I don't even remember the names. What is it when you're, like, in a handstand and then you, like, flip over?
Like a back walkover or front walkover?
Yeah. I was like, I just want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So I just went out in the yard and I just practiced. And I just fell on the ground a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, until you got it right?
But as adults, we're like, oh, I really don't want to fall on the ground, you know? So we just don't ever try.
So we don't ever try.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is kind of sad. I don't want to go on a sad point,
no.
but
we gotta but we gotta put ourselves out there. We gotta try new things and not be afraid to experiment. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to everything. I mean, even, like, think about it with careers. Like, if you were too afraid to leave your position as a school counselor, you wouldn't have got to work with all the wonderful people you've worked with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just little things we just have to remember, I think, as adults. And sometimes we get too hung up in the day-to-day. And I think when it comes down to it, it's like, if you notice that you're unhappy with something or you're not feeling physically good about something, let's just try something else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to figure out what does work.
And that's even where I got to the point when I was making the decision to leave this job, this career that I had worked so hard to get into and then worked so long in. Initially, it was like, well, if I leave, I can never go back. But then I realized, well, I can try this. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work out, I can go back and work as a school counselor, or I can get a job doing something else. Like, I just had to get over that feeling like, oh, well, if I do this, I can never go back, or things will never be the same. Well, I didn't really want things to be the same, because that was the whole point. I was trying to find something that was going to nourish me more, and that I was going to be happier and more joyful doing. But just feeling it, like, it doesn't have to be permanent. Just because you make a change doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to be forever.
Right.
If it doesn't work, you try something else.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
And I think, like you said, you kind of thought about what you had put into your career to get to that point. And that's what got me hung up. And now, I'm not saying everybody on here listening needs to quit their job, but it could be anything. It could be like, you've been trying the keto diet for 2 weeks and you're thinking about all you've put into it, right? So when I was thinking about leaving my job, I thought about, well, this is what I went to school for. I put all this time into it. And we start to, like, get hung up on the past and the future and what the future looks like. I think we need to just look more at the present and at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not happy every day, and just look like at the present. Am I happy? Yes or no? Does something need to change? Yes or no?
Yes, right.
And then we can decide from there. But just taking those little baby steps, those little baby questions, and knowing that we need to do something, and then figuring it out after that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And they always say, with the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Like,
yeah.
So sometimes you just got to take that first step.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard there was somebody who, I can't remember who now, but who I was listening to, who talked about, this was also kind of career related, but again, it could apply to anything. Taking that first step of changing careers, and it could seem huge, right?
Yeah.
Even if you aren't starting your own business, maybe you want to apply somewhere else. And when you think about the whole big picture, it seems so huge. But what she did was she just broke it down and she said, can you send your resume to a different employer?
Right.
Don't think about anything after that. Can you just
resume.
open your email, attach your resume to an email, and send it to a different employer? Can you do that part? Don't think about anything else.
Yeah.
And it could apply even to, like, if you were going to a new gym. Can you drive to the gym? Okay, just drive there. Don't think about what's going to happen when you get in the door.
There. Right.
Then it's like, can you walk through the door? Can you go to the front desk and ask them what the membership cost?
Yep.
Don't think about how you're going to use the equipment. Don't think about how big the building is, how many people are there. Can you just walk up to the desk and ask them what it cost?
Yeah.
Okay. We can physically do that part.
Yep.
It's like riding a bike.
No commitment, no expectation on the end, right? It's just take that first step.
Yep.
And
exactly.
Based on how that first step goes, then you can figure out what the next step is.
Yeah.
Not thinking like 10,000 steps down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even like your client who you were talking about how she started riding her bike again.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was probably a point where she's like, well, I haven't ridden a bike in a long time. Do I even have the right bike? She just had to start somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
She had to first just say, I want to try riding a bike again.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had to decide
have to make that decision. Yeah. So it starts with the decision.
Yeah. So I love that. Let's see, where were we? So we talked about some of the different things that you do. Was there anything else that you wanted to just mention in that area? Anything we missed?
I think those are the main things that are kind of, I have coaching programs.
Yeah,
but
so of course you have like these are kind of accessories to your you do like one-on-one.
Yes, yep. So I have a 4 and a 6 and a 12-week program.
Okay.
The 4-week focuses primarily on behaviors. We talk about the 4 pillars. And the 6-week talks about behaviors, and a little bit we get into beliefs a little bit. And then my 12-week signature program talks about behaviors, beliefs, and identity.
Okay.
So that's where the really lasting transformation, I have found where the real lasting transformation happens is when we really kind of get into the identity piece. Who do we see ourselves as? When we see ourselves as someone who can be successful, as someone who can be healthy, as someone who can make healthy easy or more simple, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Then that's where that lasting transformation can happen. So those are my coaching programs. They are one-on-one. I generally meet, most of my clients have been in person, but I have had a couple clients, more than a couple, I guess, who I've met with over Zoom and Google Meet. I had a client in Massachusetts. I had a client in Maryland. I've had clients in Rochester that we met over like their lunch break.
And I don't think I've mentioned, but I was one of Tracy's trial clients when she started. Yes. I don't think I mentioned that this whole podcast. So not only did I want Tracy on here because I have faith that she's a good coach. I know that she is because I have worked with her also. I was like, I don't think I mentioned that at all.
It was, And you being one of my first clients, that was an amazing experience. And that was where it really kind of solidified for me that this is what I'm meant to do. This is where it is so nourishing for me to see my clients make the progress that they make in 12 weeks time. It's just amazing.
I remember, it's so funny. Like, I remember just certain like random things. And I remember when you sent the message, you sent me a text message that just said that, you know, you had already told us that you were going into health coaching. And I remember you sent us a text message that was like, I'm looking for some trial clients. And I was milking cows when I read that. Like, I don't know why I remember that. I was just like in the middle of milking cows. And I think I was probably covered in manure and whatnot. And I read that message and I was like, yes, please help me.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get back to myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a really great conversation today. I just want to make sure we didn't forget anything. Was there anything that, you know, was really important that you wanted to share before we kind of wrap it up? Anything fun coming up, or any ways that clients could get in touch with you if they wanted to talk with you more?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's mindyourwellness.net. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's mindyourwellness90 on Instagram if you want to hang out there. I do have a monthly newsletter. And in that newsletter, I give tips that you can implement into your daily life to kind of incorporate those 4 pillars in a simplistic way. So lots of tips and things like that in my newsletters. So make sure you get subscribed to my newsletter. From there too, you'll also stay up to date about my programs and my upcoming events. I'm excited to be collaborating with some important people coming up. So starting out with Embrace Outdoors, where I'm going to be offering some kayaking excursions, sunset kayak trips, which I'm pretty excited about. One in June and one in August. And then Tuesdays in June, I'm going to be working with Lindsay.
That's me.
And we are going to be talking about the 4 pillars. So just a weekly series talking about the 4 pillars. I'm still finalizing that location. I haven't heard back from...
yeah, that'll be an in-person.
But that will be an in-person event. And...
yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Hikyogas. I hope to get those going. Like I said, now that the weather's getting better, hope we
finally
can get a good routine of Hikyogas happening. And then this fall, it's always been a dream of mine to do like a women's wellness retreat up in the Adirondacks. And I'm hoping that I can get 2 of those off the ground and going for this fall. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, you got all kinds of good stuff coming up. So definitely, I'm going to leave Tracy's, all her information in the description of this episode. And then when I post about it on my Instagram, I'll tag her and stuff too. So wherever you find me and see this, there'll be her information there so that you can follow her. And then as these things roll out this summer, if you are in the area, you could connect with her. And then even if you're not in the area, in New York or the Finger Lakes area, again, she has done coaching virtually too. So you could connect with her virtually also.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. We survived.
Thank you for having me. I know that wasn't anything I really needed to be all that nervous about.
Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. So yeah, and you know, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a comment. If you have any more questions for Tracy, since she survived this one, she might be willing to come on again sometime in the future.
Absolutely.
We could expand on some of these things or talk about some other things.
And if you have questions for me as well, my email is tracy@mindyourwellness.net. I'd be glad to get back to you with any.
And that's Tracy with Tracy.
Correct.
Not EY.
Right.
I'll put it in the description too, so you have it. So, all right. Well, until next week, That's an awkward way to end it. I will talk to you again next week on the next podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Tracy for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Be well.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Balanced Hustle podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to leave a review or share with someone who needs a little extra balance in their hustle. For more tips, tools, and resources to help you reclaim your energy and build the strong, vibrant life you deserve, follow me on Instagram at LindsaySherman_fitness, and don't forget to subscribe here so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, remember, progress is always better than perfection. Keep taking those small steps. They'll tell you exactly where you need to go. Talk soon.